Welcome to the BT Sport Boxing Show. I'm Adam Catterall. We've got an action-packed 30 minutes lined up for you. We're going to be talking about Tyson Fury getting himself back in training ahead of that trilogy with Deontay Wilder. Canelo's taken not only his promoter, but his broadcaster to court. We'll talk about that too. And Teofimo Lopez will be joining us ahead of his world title unification with Vasyl Lomachenko. Joining me to go through all of that and much more is one of the best boxing analysts in the game. And not only that, he's hopefully going to be able to secure us a fantastic sponsorship deal with a shampoo company. It is the one and only Mr. Ben Davison. How are you, sir? You good?
I'm good, thank you, Adam. You?
I'm very well indeed, mate. Obviously, we're going to be talking about your upcoming fight with Josh Taylor, of course, in 2 weeks' time against Kong Song live on BT Sport. But first of all, let's get stuck into looking back at the weekend, because Anthony Yarde was in action. He got a fantastic victory over Spelman, and he joins us right now. Look at this, man. I knew he'd bring his football colours into this show. Look at him. He's got the gear on there, looking $1 million. How are you, mate? You well?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Listen, you're not going to be littering this show telling us that Arsenal are winning the league. This is all about boxing, all right?
Okay, I'll keep football out of it.
And just before we have a little bit of a look back at the performance, talk to me about the psychology of the fight at the weekend. It's well documented that obviously you've been through an incredibly tough time, you and your family, throughout this COVID period. How easy was it to detach yourself away from the real life and get yourself focused back into doing what you do in the ring?
I wouldn't say easy at all. I would say I had to stay very, very focused, literally laser focused. I had to forget about everything. I had to be selfish to my family members and my friends' emotions. People care about what's happened to you, but in the long run, they only care about results. That's evident. So, yeah, we got. So I was happy.
You did get the victory, and it was a great performance. Let's have a little bit of a look back at some of that from the weekend, which was on BT Sport against Spelman. You were expected to win, Anthony, but just talk us through it, because if you'd have blown him away in 3 minutes, then I'm sure you'd have got criticised for that. I actually think this is one of your better performances, where you took your time, and then when you needed to, you put your foot down and got him out of there.
Yeah, I thought so when I was in there. You know, looking back, you know, 'cause I actually did watch the fight back. Usually I don't, but I got a lot of phone calls, a lot of messages saying the commentary. They were confused by the commentary, because the commentary had him quite close in the fight. You know, like everything that Spelman even threw, you know, it's like they responded to all of the heavy shots I was landing and taking my time. There was nothing. You know, it's one of the things. This is why I don't really watch fights back, because people need to understand your mind and your perception, how things work. You can easily get involved in, for your next fight, oh, let me try and do this, and then you come at your game plan. But I feel like I boxed very well. As you said, I took my time. I knew exactly when I was going to stop him, when he was breaking down. So again, I'm learning on the job.
Ben, from Anthony's point of view, how easy is it in that moment to coast? Because he was winning well, he was being able to pick his shots whenever he wanted to pick it. But when you're a guy that has been at world level, it's important just to reaffirm how good you are and go through the gears, put your foot down and get finishes, of which he ended up doing.
Yeah, exactly. And the way that he went about it was a smart approach. He broke Spelman down bit by bit, and the whole way through the fight, Anthony was determining how the fight took place. If Anthony wanted to counterpunch, he counterpunched. He made Spelman throw. If he wanted to be on the aggressive and be the offencer, he did that. He dictated where the fight took place, and got the finish done in a smart approach. Like you say, if he went out gung-ho, may have took a few more than what he needed to, then he would have received criticism for that. So I thought it was a good performance. I've always said that I think Anthony does all the right things. And I think that, you know, when you put the right opponent in front of Anthony, you'll see those things come to fruition more and more.
What did you make of Linden Arthur's response on social media, Anthony? He pinged it your way. He wants you to fight exactly like that against him.
I haven't seen anything yet. Again, I've been off of social media. I've only been looking at, you know, the highlights and the clips and things like that. But I'm just going to go out there and do my job. So again, when I look at someone like Linden Arthur, I'm just going to remain the same person as I am. And that's be humble and keep moving forward.
You just mentioned a moment or two ago that you don't normally look back at your fights, but with friends getting onto you about the Dex Spelman fight at the weekend, you had a little bit of a nosy back just to see how the performance was. Have you had a chance to look back at the Kovalev fight?
I did. I looked at certain Kovalev rounds. I didn't watch the whole fight.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's do it now. We've got one of the best analysts in the game. You've got the guy that was in the ring. Why not? Let's get stuck into it straight now, man. What we'll do, we'll have a look at round 8, okay? Because that's the round where, I'll be honest, I was out of my chair. I was screaming at the TV. I thought we were going to get another world champion from our shores at that particular point. Let's just have a quick look at some of the tape here. And you talk us through it, Anne. And Ben, if you've picked up on any particular analytical bits, jump all over it, my man, and talk us through it. Here we go. Talk to me about this particular moment now. You're coming off the back of round 7, into round 8. Tunde's talking to you in the corner. What's he saying? What's going through your mind?
Well, Tunde's just reminding me what our goal was, and that's to stop Kovalev. I hurt him in the end of the 7th round with a body shot. And that's what we said that we was going to try and do, work away and land body shots. But Kovalev is very hard to land body shots on. I think even Andre Wall said the same thing. He's got a very long jab, hard jab. So you've got to sacrifice. Sometimes I say you need to take a shot to give a shot. I took that to another level. You can see me just literally just put bulldozer in. I'm trying to just roll little bits. And again, it's an experience because I could have came in better. I landed another body shot again there. Look, I got hit with a low blow, I think, coming up, and I didn't even care. And then that took away my legs a little bit as well. But at that time, I was thinking, no, I can't have a break. Let's work. It's coming up. I think it's like when it gets to 1 minute or something like that. It's coming up when the referee stops. I said, don't worry about it. Forget about it. Look, it's coming up. And I think
Ben, as you're sat at home watching this the first time around, what are you thinking as a person that obviously trains fighters? What are you thinking at this stage? You've seen 7 rounds of this. Coming into the 8th, what would have been your instructions for it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big step for Anthony. So I think in the early stages he did really have trouble with Kovalev's jab, which was understandable. But I think when it got to a point where it was sort of make or break for him, and he knew that he had to put his foot on the gas, he started forcing Kovalev to throw when he didn't want to throw, and that gave entry points for Anthony. And then he started dictating the pace. I just think that because he had trouble in the early rounds, it was difficult for him he'd probably taken a little bit too many shots for him that had emptied a little bit of his tank. Whereas with a little bit more experience, he may have been a little bit cuter in the earlier rounds, knew how to deal with the jab a little bit more, and may have been able to reserve the tank a little bit more to be able to push on and build into 7, 8, 9, 10. But it was his first opportunity. It wasn't just world level, it was elite level. And he took a gamble, and you can only respect that,
Exactly that. Taking that gamble, taking the fight in the first place to take on Kovalev in his own backyard.
He went to win.
Exactly that.
Too many people, in a situation like this, settle for the loss. I'll lose on points, but he took a chance. He knew that he was under pressure. He probably knew that he didn't have it to really win over the distance because he'd probably taken a little bit too much in the earlier rounds, and he took a gamble, and you can only respect that,
Absolutely. And as you're watching this right now, you've got the geezer going. You've got him going. It's one clean shot, isn't it? That's all it is.
It's literally one shot away. Look at me there. Swinging like a madman. But yeah, it's literally, I'm going for broke now. Look, his experience is holding me down. I was just literally bulldozing. Dragon Ball Z, level 3 Super Saiyan. And I said, I'm literally going for it 100%.
Look at Iggy. Iggy's his manager. Yeah, Iggy's there, a manager of Lomachenko as well, and Usyk. He looked like he were a little bit worried, and I'm sure there were a few people in that arena that night worried as well. Now, that round finishes, you go and sit back down. Was the fatigue obvious to you straight away, or was it a case of, well, I've got to go back out and do the exact same thing again?
That's what it was at first. They say that your engine has a delayed response. So it wasn't I think it was halfway through the 10th round. Halfway through the 9th round, I really started to feel it. Before that, I was walking forward, still bobbing and moving, trying to come forward, trying to trade. But then when it got to the end of the 10th, I really felt it. I felt it in my legs, everything. I just felt it. But again, it's experience. As Ben said, a lot of people would have just took the points victory and just known that I gave a good account of myself. No, that was not me. I said, I don't care, I need to win this fight. I would rather swing my lungs out and literally just have to like fall over from exhaustion. That's the kind of person I've got a lion mentality. And in that situation, that's what was going to happen. In other fights, yeah, I could have said, I can box my way to a points victory and be smart, but I wasn't going to get a victory in Russia. That's all that was in my mind. I needed to knock him out.
The key word that he's used there a couple of times, Ben, is experience, isn't it? You've got to kind of go through moments like this to gain that experience to come again stronger on another occasion. To
a certain degree, yeah. Part of it was skill set as well, which comes as part of experience. And when you say experience, it's not like how many times you do it. If he done 12 rounders with the level 10 levels below, that's not the experience that you're looking for. He's done those rounds at elite level with the best in the world. So, what he would have learned and took from it and added to his skill set from that experience, is priceless. I think that in the early part of the fight, he let Kovalev dictate the pace a little bit too much. Whereas, now I'm sure Anthony will know how to not allow that to happen and how to control the pace a little bit better, up it when he wants, slow it down when he wants. And those will be sorts of things that he would have took away from fighting at elite level.
And you've also had a taste of it now, Anthony. You've had a taste of that elite level, and I'm sure that you want to be getting back there in the not too distant future. Linden Arthur is up next. I know that you don't want to look ahead too much, but that's my job, mate. I'm here to get the hype going, because we want to see you in with those monster fights, and there's some sensational fights lined up for you at light heavyweight. I know the WBO have got a little bit of an eliminator going at the moment, which will lead to a fight for those guys, maybe Salamov or whoever, into the fight with Joe Smith Jr. But you're still highly ranked with the WBO. Arthur's decently ranked. I know how the WBO rankings work. Is that the route that you're looking for, to continue on the WBO route, to obviously get a job done here, get highly ranked, and then maybe at some point in 2021 be fighting someone like a Joe Smith Jr. for the belt?
That's one of the options. For me, it's about seizing opportunities and being ready when they come. Ben just said it. Looking back at it, I just wasn't ready. I thought I was, I was telling myself I was, because you need to have that strong mindset. You need to be confident. But it's about literally being ready when the opportunity comes. So again, I'm working in the gym. I'm working on little things. In the Dex Spelman fight, I showed little things that I'm working on. Still not happy with some things, but some things that I'm happy with. So it's an upwards progress.
You will have seen, obviously, Mr. Warren and his best of British proposal, the card that he proposed to Eddie Hearn. Your name was on there, mate. He was up against Josh Buatsi. Fancy it?
I'm a fighter, man. I definitely fancy it. I feel like time as well. Time plays a big part. Timing plays a big part. And for me, that's a massive fight in the future. A massive fight for both of us in the future. And it's going to keep building. Again, if I keep doing what I did on Saturday, which I will do, and if he keeps doing what he's doing, it only builds for an even bigger fight. So I'm excited for that fight.
Listen, man, congratulations at the weekend. The performance against Dex Spelman was top class. We hope to see you back in world title action in the not too distant future, Anthony. Thank you so much for your time. Stick with us here on BT Sport, because we've got plenty more to come. We're going to be speaking about Tyson Fury being back in training for his fight with Deontay Wilder. But right now, let's turn our attention towards the lightweights and that big unification between Teofimo Lopez and Vasyl Lomachenko. I caught up with the IBF lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez last week.
I suppose we should start this conversation with a bit of a thank you from me and the rest of the boxing world, because we're getting it. We're getting the fight that we all wanted, But your first defense is against what many people would class as the pound-for-pound best fighter on the planet, for the undisputed championship of the world. That's proper, man.
Thank you. Man, that's just the fighter in me. You know what I mean? And that's just the love that I have for the sport. Just trying to be great and just take advantage of these opportunities that I have, that God's given me. At 23 years of age, becoming an undisputed world champion, be the fifth one of, I believe, of ever, and also be the 4 belt, well, I think it's 5 belts. Yeah. Ring Magazine is also included in this. So, I mean, it's all or nothing. I'm very happy about that, and be the first Latino to become undisputed in the 4 belt era. It's surreal, but I know the moment that I'm in that ring, oh man, it's in my hands. So that's what's the best part about it. The best feeling.
So this fight gets made. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and then there's a report that goes round that a percentage of Lomachenko's purse, he's given it up, and then it comes to give to you in order to make the fight happen. Teo, come on. Talk to me real. What happened?
It's pure and that's really just what it was. And man, just for that to even be thrown at, and they promoted it that way, the same way they promoted that I at one point, they said I declined the fight. No, I declined the offer that they came and they did with me. The same way they promoted with Vasyl Lomachenko in the 800K. Now, if they promote our fight that is actually happening, it's already signed and said, everything's done with, then we'll have more views, you know what I mean? But they're promoting that side, and which is not even true. I still didn't get my fair share. You know what I mean? But it's either have everyone say that I duck and dodge a fighter when that's not true. That's not who I am. Take the fight, and you know what? It is what it is. I've been screwed over before. That's fine with me. I'm okay with that. I'll do it again then. It's all right. You know what? That's why, with this fight going on and everything, it's not only Lomachenko I'm going to be beating up. It's everyone else that's on this deal.
Do you envision this one being the last at 135 and us stepping up to 140 at some point next year?
I would absolutely love to face the winners out of Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez. Why not become undisputed at 135 and then become again undisputed at 140 back to back?
Wow.
That would be something to talk about. That's who I am. That's the type of fighter I am. I love to step up to the plate and do things like that. Things that are, just make more history, make a legacy for myself as well. And that's what it's all about. In order to be the best, you have to face the best or fight the best, whatever they want to say. I know I'm the best, and I just have to perform every time to show that I am the best. Why not go back and we go to the UK and face someone, out there?
Josh Taylor, you just mentioned his name, man. You can come to the UK and do that thing. Will you stop him?
My job is to do what I know best, and the rest is there. Of course, my job is obviously if I have it in my hands to do that, I'm gonna take advantage of it. And that's who I am. So if I hurt him, best believe I'm gonna continue to do that and finish the fight. I'm younger, I'm stronger, I'm faster, I'm hungrier. He's experienced. He has all the credentials of pound for pound in that list. All those things that we could talk about. Correct, right? But just when it comes to it, lightweight division is not for him. And, he's better off at 130, like I said, or 126. He's a smaller guy, and he needs to face guys that are in his weight class. I'm a big 135 pounder, but I'm not going to just depend on my massive body on this guy. We're going to do many things technical, and we're just going to pick him apart.
There you have it, Ben. We've got a super fight coming October 17th. Lopez taking on Lomachenko. It's a fight that all fans are extremely excited about. And as you've just heard from him there, he's an extremely confident young man. If you're in his corner and you're taking on one of the biggest Rubik's Cube puzzles in the world of boxing in the not too distant future, how would you advise him to go about the fight?
Yeah, I think that's the way he's got to approach it. He's got to be full of confidence. He's got to make sure, he doesn't give Lomachenko the opportunity to dictate. I think he's got to set a good pace and try and be physical in there. Try and be the aggressor. I think that if he allows Lomachenko to dictate the pace and get into a flow, all of a sudden it becomes a real hard night. But I've met Teofimo. I've seen him in the gym. He's the biggest small man in the world you've ever seen. And I think if he can try and make his physicalities and his physical size and attributes become a factor in the fight, it could become an interesting one.
How good, in your opinion, is Vasyl Lomachenko?
Mustard. For me, he's probably as good as it gets.
In a way, and he's not done anything conventional. Everything seems unconventional. Like you see him kayaking, you see him juggling, you see him doing so many different things. And I suppose that's why he is as good as it gets, because he isn't reading from a textbook, or his dad's not reading from a textbook. It's all coming using different ideas and different sporting successes and putting it in the boxing ring. Well,
it's unconventional in the boxing sense, but in terms of other sports, it's not unconventional. It's the norm in other sports to use other training modalities and vary things up in the sports science approach. But when it comes to boxing, it seems to be a rare thing to see, and I think in that area, boxing's quite a bit behind other sports. But Lomachenko's took that approach, and I think you can really see the benefit from that. But as I say, for a boxing approach, it's out of the norm. But I think in terms of the way that other sports approach their events and training, etc., it's just what I would call a smart approach.
Just a final one on this fight. You've got to give both these men the credit, haven't you? Because we're living in a weird time. It's probably easier not to make this fight right now, to make excuses. Fans aren't in there. The money's not there. It's a risk for Teofimo, young lad, 23 years of age, taking his first title defence against one of the pound-for-pound best on the planet. But both these guys are obviously chasing legacy, and that's what we want to see in boxing, isn't it? We want to see guys chasing undisputed crowns.
Yeah, of course. It's probably the fight I'm most looking forward to at the minute in the sport of boxing. So it's nice to have something to look forward to in a time like this.
Speaking of the road to undisputed, your good friend Tyson Fury, I see, is back in the gym. Sugar Hill Stewart over from the US into the UK to help him train for that trilogy fight against Deontay Wilder. Have you spoken to Tyson recently?
Yeah, I saw him actually. We was in London together a couple of weeks back. Just had a catch up, and he's in good spirits. He's in a good place. So it's great to see.
I know you played a pivotal role in obviously getting him back mentally and obviously physically before that fantastic first showdown with Deontay Wilder. But it must be incredibly proud as a friend of his to see where he's at right now and to see that he's maintained that level of in his head at the moment, especially through these weird times, because it's quite easy. And I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this right now that are going through some difficult moments. And Tyson Fury's kind of been a rod of inspiration for a lot of people during this time.
Yes, yeah. Obviously everybody knows where he come from and what sort of position he was, what sort of mindset he was, where he was physically. So, I know that on his bad days, what his goal was when he had a negative approach and a negative mindset, and I know where his goals was when he had a positive approach. And for him to have gone on and achieved what he's achieved and done what he's done, and it's great to see, and it's something really special, because there was lots of times when lots of people, and even the closest to him, weren't too sure he'd be able to get back and go on and never mind achieve more. And that's what he's gone on to do, and he beat even his biggest supporters. He's beat their expectations.
What do you make of all this Canelo shenanigans over in the States? For those that aren't too aware of it, he has filed a lawsuit against his broadcaster DAZN, against his promoter Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy, and obviously that'll all play out in the courts. And fingers crossed they can come to some type of conclusion, because Canelo is one of the best fighters in the world. We want to see him in the ring, but whilst this is all playing out, I'm sure he's going to be spending a lot of time outside of the ring, which kind of then opens up the landscape of the super middleweight division. And obviously the middleweight and light heavyweight has been everywhere, hasn't it? But in particular the super middleweight division, because obviously a guy that you work with very closely and a good friend of yours, Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith holding the WBA crown as well in that particular weight class. They've all been kind of waiting for what Canelo does next. Canelo was the guy that was supposed to be picking one of those in order for them to be able to move forward for a big super fight. With him out the picture now, it really does open that landscape. And maybe I don't want to say forces, but maybe pushes them two towards each other for a big unification clash.
It does, yeah. I mean, that's a great fight. Of course, it's a great fight for boxing. It's a great fight for not only British boxing, but world boxing and for each fighter. But then the whole goal is, to fight, their goal will be to fight the best, to fight the number one man, and test yourself against the number one. That'll be the dream of both of those two fighters. And that's what they really want. And it's not that Callum doesn't want to fight Billy Joe or Billy Joe doesn't want to fight Callum. It's a great fight. But when you're at the top and they're both world champions, their main priority will be a chance to fight Canelo, to beat number one. Because if you manage to achieve that, there is no naysayers. You've done it. And just to get that opportunity is what they're after. So it's a shame that the business side is looks like it could be taking an impact on that. It must be so frustrating because the sport is the sport and their goals are their goals, but the business side of things in boxing can be very messy, and this is just another example. So it's very unfortunate, in my opinion.
It is unfortunate, especially, I know that obviously it's unfortunate for Callum, but more so maybe for Billy Joe, because we were led to believe that fight was done, dusted for May. Obviously, everything happened with the pandemic, and his name's been rumoured around fighting Canelo for a period of time. And correct me if I'm wrong, you know him a lot better than I do. He seems, does Billy, the type of guy that needs that level of challenge to get him absolutely at his very, very best. We saw it with the David Lemieux fight, didn't we? That there was a bit of jeopardy in there, maybe a bit of fear, and he was on his very best game that particular night. And maybe he needs a level of a Canelo type of opponent in order to get him up to that type of level.
Certainly, I think that's the same for most top fighters, They raise their game to what's in front of them, but they can also drop it to what's in front of them. We've seen it with Billy Joe. We've seen it with Tyson as well. And it's one of them, I think. Billy Joe's been a world champion for 5 years now. So, he's been dying for an opportunity to fight Canelo, to fight Golovkin, who Golovkin at the time when Billy Joe first won his world championship was the one that everybody perceived to be the number one. So he's been chasing for that opportunity to really test himself against the numero uno for a long time. So I know that's what he wants. And you're right, when he boxed Andy Lee, a lot of pressure, fantastic performance, in my opinion, his best performance. And certainly I just think that's often the situation for most top fighters. It just gives them that extra little bit of fire in the belly, that extra little bit of fear that just pulls that extra few percent out of the performance.
Do you think we'll get him against the Canelo? Hopefully, once all this lawsuit's done.
Yeah, I think it'd be a huge shame if that fight didn't happen. I think it's an intriguing matchup. As a boxing fan, putting the coaching side of things to one side, it's an intriguing matchup. We've seen Canelo cause difficulties with people with similar styles, but never someone the size of Billy Joe with that style. We've seen, all due respect to Callum Smith, he's a fantastic fighter, but we've seen Canelo against the tall, long kind of guys. So it's one, as a boxing fan, that I'd be intrigued to see, and I really think it would be a crying shame if it didn't happen.
Yeah, fingers crossed it does, my man. Well done, Ben. I know that you're multitasking at the moment, obviously presenting on television, training fighters. You're only 2 weeks away, well, less than 2 weeks away, of course, to being back in the corner. You must be incredibly excited with your first one out with Josh Taylor live on BT Sport. Should be a cracker for his IBF mandatory against Kong Song.
Yeah, that's right. It's definitely interesting times. Josh is so used to selling out arenas, big crowds there. So we made the decision to go down to the show on Saturday, just get a feel for the place, and a feel for the atmosphere, know what we're going into, because there'd be nothing worse than stepping in on fight night and being a bit overwhelmed with the situation at hand. So it was a good decision. I think we certainly became more familiar with the surroundings and the situation at hand. So, yeah, looking forward to it. And last little bit of fine tuning, and away we go.
No, we can't wait for it. September 26th on BT Sport. Josh Taylor is out and about doing his thing against his IBF mandatory, Akpin Kong Song. You'll be able to catch it all on the main channel, and Ben will be in the corner. And of course, moonlighting as well, doing a bit of TV presenting with me for this BT Sport boxing show, which we're going to bring you on a week-by-week basis with some of the biggest names from the sweet science. So make sure you hit subscribe on the YouTube channel, so therefore you never miss out on any of the upcoming content, and tune in on a week-by-week basis for what we've got to say. Thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you next time.